In Capital News tonight, Tanzanians continue to give their views on the 2021-2022 government budget. President Dr. Mokwetsi Masisi of Botswana calls on African governments to create a conducive environment for the private sector. Sports, the first Tanzanian to reach the top of Mount Everest, Rwan Kakiki, gets a warm welcome on her return to the country. Good evening, this is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Nasma Mwambe. Let's get started with the national news. A day after the government unveiled its 36.3 trillion shillings budget for the year 2021-2022 and announced that there will be an increase in taxes and fees, including on kerosene, SIM cards, and mobile money transactions, some citizens have said the increase will make life more difficult for Tanzanians.
Wanapopandisha bei ya mafuta, matokeo yake ni kwamba uchumi uendelee kuwa mgumu, hali iendelee kuwa mbaya zaidi.
When the price of oil goes up, it means that the economy is going to be worse.
Kwa mimi naona kama inaweza kaumiza sana watu wanaotumia vyombo vya moto.
A lot of people on low income depend on this type of transport to get around. It affects us.
Sio kodi ya kila mtu akinunua chipu akatwe na akinunua simu mpya akatwe.
On the charge to be levied when someone buys a new mobile phone or chip, we are asking the government to look into this.
Sawa, tunashukuru kama bodaboda.
Some are happy and others not, but it's good that some of the fines have been taken out.
Fly na wengine wamefly, wamependa sana.
Government in Africa have been advised to continue creating conducive environment for investors in the industrial sector in order to be more productive, competitive, and get access to reliable markets. The advice was given by the President of Botswana, Dr. Mokwetsi Masisi, when he toured Bakresa flour milling plant in Dar es Salaam.
That the role of governments, particularly in Africa, and I do not exclude my government, is to nurture companies such as the Bakresa Group, to look out for where in Africa we have competitive advantages and not compete unnecessarily, so that you can filter through and compete globally. It's time we had companies from Africa that put to shame companies that are global. So I want to wish you luck, and I will be looking out for the 5th mill to be developed. I'll be looking for your products in Botswana. Don't change the name and think you can escape my attention.
The main challenge we face is we produce, yet we cannot process a lot of our produce. And this factory has shown that it is possible. This company specializes in a lot of areas. In Tanzania, it has invested in a total of 20 industries, 17 in Tanzania mainland and 3 in Zanzibar.
Tuna viwanda 17 Tanzania bara na viwanda 3 Zanzibar.
President Dr. Mokwetsi Masisi also said that African government should not engage in activities that can be done by the private sector.
Should try and run a milling company or do work that the private sector can do better. The government's job is to tax you, and I hope they tax you. You must be happy to pay tax, because the colleagues and Tanzanians require the goodwill of you thanking them for operating in the environment and them giving you custom. That's what tax is for. You are just thanking somebody for eating your food. So please pay your tax and do engage in responsible corporate social responsibility, not charity. Responsible corporate social responsibility. And I want to urge the workers of this facility to be as productive, if not more productive, than any worker you can find in the world. And you to treat them well, pay them well, look after them. Let it be a lifelong relationship, just like a marriage. With these few words, I want to applaud you and thank you.
The Ministry of Home Affairs has promoted 34,106 officers and inspectors of various levels from the police, prison, immigration, rescue and fire forces who were supposed to have been promoted during the year 2018-2021 financial year.
Idadi hii haijawahi kutokea. Ni kwa mara ya kwanza tumepandisha vyeo.
This number has never happened before. It is the first time that promotions have been established by legal criteria and by noble service. All those promoted will be given various trainings, and this money has been provided by our President Samia Suluhu Hassan.
Mama Samia Suluhu Hassan, mama yetu, ametoa fedha kwa ajili ya wao kwenda kwenye mafunzo mbalimbali.
The President of Africa Development Bank, AFDB, Dr. Adesina Akinwumi, has assured the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Samia Suluhu Hassan, that the bank will continue to fund development projects in the country as Tanzania meets the criteria of continuing to get financial support. Dr. who is in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, gave the assurance today during a telephone call with the President, Samia Suluhu Hassan, who is in Dar es Salaam, whereby the talks centered on relations between Tanzania and the bank. In the talks, Dr. Adesina Akinwumi gave her condolences to President Samia Suluhu Hassan following the death of the former president, the late Dr. John Magufuli, and then commended her for taking over the leadership and that Tanzania was performing well on improving its economy. She pledged that AFDB will give funds to Tanzania to establish banks to empower entrepreneurs and enable graduates from vocational training centers in order to reduce unemployment among youth. On her part, President Samia Suluhu Hassan commended the bank for supporting many development projects in the country, including those being implemented under the second phase of the National Development Plan. The Immigration Department in Kigoma region has arrested 570 illegal immigrants from Burundi and the Democratic Republic of Congo, whereby 200 among them were found with voters' cards and national IDs, indicating they're citizens of Tanzania. The illegal immigrants were arrested during an operation that was implemented from June 1st to 10th this year. The action taken for those who are given PA notice in Burundi is 126. The Burundian nationals brought to court are 96. 24 were handed over to the Refugees Department, 4 were released, and a total of 488 citizens. We would like to ask these Tanzanians who use foreigners in agriculture activities, fishing and political activities and other various activities, we ask them to follow the immigration laws in providing employment to these people. The World Bank has approved funding for 2 social development projects in Zanzibar on improvement of power infrastructure and development of Unguja town. This was revealed by the Minister of Finance and Planning, Jamal Kassim Ali, after holding talks with the delegations from the World Bank. There will be a Nungwi Mtoni station and there will be another station in the south to improve access to electricity. This project involves the construction of our roads in the city, but also the installation of good water systems. Now this project is going to repair roads, install lights and beautify the city. They will have to be demolished to make the roads wider, so we will ask our colleagues to help us pay compensations, because the compensation is huge for those who will be affected by these projects. And we have asked about $5 million for compensation. I urge the public to cooperate with our project executives.
The first one on mobilizing resources.
We are looking at the potential to help African countries in terms of access to finance, increase employment and boost the education sector in order to help these countries develop economically and socially.
Fedha, kuongeza ajira na pia kuinua sekta elimu.
More than 10,000 tons of maize along the Namanga border have crossed the border after the dispute of maize from Tanzania entering Kenya was resolved with stakeholders, urging Tanzania Bureau of Standards to provide education to farmers on prevention of aflatoxin on maize.
Mpaka sasa ni zaidi ya tani 10,000 ambazo zimepita.
So far, more than 10,000 tons have gone through the Namanga border, but challenges from our side have come up, one being some of our maize have been found to contain a poisonous substance.
Inajaribu kukutanisha wafanyabiashara.
It is trying to link up business operators and customs agents so that they gain an understanding about the poison.
Kwanza tunapata uelewa wa kuweza kujua.
We'll get to know the root cause of this poison and how this problem can be resolved.
Ili tuweze na sisi.
The government of Tanzania and the French Development Agency, AFD, have signed a credit agreement of 361.71 billion shillings for one-year project on construction of a 150 megawatt solar power generation plant at Kishapu District, Shinyanga region.
Wa shilingi bilioni 361.71.
We have signed a contract for 300 billion shillings for a solar power plant, a project that will be implemented for a period of 1 year and is expected to be completed by 2023. The project will generate electricity for 150 megawatts in Kishapu District, Shinyanga region. Part of the loan money will be used to upgrade the national grid and modernize it, and to support the loss of electricity in the national grid.
AFD is also providing a grant of 700,000 euros, 2 billion Tanzanian shillings, from the French Fund for Technical Expertise and Experience. It will finance the technical assistance in favor of the program in order to build national capacity on renewable energy matters, particularly related to the management of a network fed with intermittent production. We are anticipating that this program will provide the foundation of a sustainable low-carbon economy by improving the grid performance and by deploying solar production capacity.
The world is changing, and we must change with it. Energy policies are becoming more environmentally conscious by changing their energy choices. The share of renewable energy, and therefore solar energy, is set to increase considerably in the future. And in this sense, to my view, Tanzania can be a model in Africa, both mainland and Zanzibar, and to have France as your main partner.
East Africa Television and Radio, through their campaign Amthamini, have signed a cooperation agreement with Flaviana Matata Foundation, which aims to increase availability of female sanitation pads for schoolgirls in the country. The agreement was signed between the Managing Director of East Africa Television and Radio, Regina Mengi, and the founder of the foundation, Flaviana Foundation.
Africa TV na East Africa Radio tangu tumezindua kampeni hii ya Namthamini mwaka huu 2017 ambapo sasa ni karibu.
Since launching the Namthamini campaign in 2017, where so far it is more than 5 years, we have managed to reach more than 11,000 students in more than 15 regions by providing them with female towels for them to wear all year round. We urge all Tanzanians to join us in this campaign by donating female towels to help the girl child get an education without any restrictions.
Taasisi zote mbili ili tuweze kuwafikia wasichana wengi zaidi.
We need to reach at least 5,000 girls this year. You contribute any amount in order to keep the girl child in school. We invite all Tanzanians to contribute to what you have.
Hii ili aweze kubaki shule kwa mwezi mmoja ni 6,000, kwa mwaka mzima ni takriban 45, angalau mtoto apate taulo 15 mpaka 18.
And that is the end of the national news. International news comes next after the break. Welcome back, and now in international news. G7 leaders are meeting for the first time in person, talks in nearly 2 years, with an expected pledge to donate 1 billion COVID-19 vaccine doses to the world's poorest countries. says a joint approach is the world's best chance for recovering from the global health crisis and tackling a climate change. As the summit opened in Cornwall, southwest England on Friday, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson told the leaders the gathering was a chance to learn lessons from the coronavirus pandemic and ensure they do not repeat any errors. Regarding the plan to donate vaccines, the campaigners said the pledge, which includes $500 million US and $100 million from the UK, does not go far enough. The Minister of Finance in Kenya unveiled the country's 3.66 trillion shillings budget. Members of Parliament have said the budget has not addressed challenges facing low-income people. They also criticized the government for failing to control national debt, which has reached 7.3 trillion shillings.
Sasa hatujui tutaelekea wapi, tutoka wapi. Serikali yenyewe wanakopa pesa zenyewe wanakopa, lakini hatuzioni.
Na kama mimi kwangu imekuwa mzigo kwa sababu niko na watoto na niko na watoto 4 na wanasoma, wanakula. Unga nayo pia imepanda. Kila kitu yani imepanda. Kwangu ni mzigo sana. Sijafurahia kabisa.
The United Nations says tens of thousands of malnourished children risk dying in hard-to-reach areas of Ethiopia's conflict, Trigger region now hit by famine. His comment came after the UN on Thursday said some 350,000 people in Trigger were facing famine, while 2 million more people were just a step away from those extreme conditions. The UN has said that more than 90% of the more than 5 million people in Trigger needed emergency food aid and urgently appealed for more than $200 million to scale up its response. And that is the end of international news. Business comes next after the break.
Tune in to Business Edition and meet business leaders and experts who keep you informed on business and economic developments taking place in the country, such as tourism, construction, energy, transport, mining, agriculture, communication, banking, real estate, and more. Business Edition on Friday at 8:15 p.m. only on Capital Television.
Welcome back, and now in business news. The government has called on investors to invest farming edible oil crops in order to address the problem of shortage in the country, which now faces a deficit of more than 360,000 tons. The call was made by the Minister of Agriculture, Professor Adolf Mkenda, when addressing big investors in the country.
Ni kweli kwenye soko la dunia la mafuta ya kula.
It is true that in the world market, edible oil has been a challenge, even in the soybean crop in Latin America, and in the production of palm oil in areas where they use migrant laborers for harvesting. Because of the COVID-19, movement of laborers was not good. And because of that, the price of oil has risen. It is an opportunity now to grow oil-producing crops. On the 13th June, we will be in Singida launching a strategy for sunflower oil production, providing seeds to big farmers and cooperatives to ensure we increase the domestic oil production. We're very grateful to the government. In fact, if there is any sector that is as happy as the agriculture sector, especially those of us who do horticulture, there are many things we have been talking about with our government, but they were not passing. But yesterday, all the levies were lifted, and we as the private sector, working with the government to improve the environment, when we talk about land in commercial agriculture, we are talking about land protection and access to land. We asked the government to look at the issue of protecting our land through legislations and have special areas for large agricultural investment.
Maeneo maalum ya uwekezaji mkubwa wa kilimo.
Kilimanjaro Cooperative Bank has started sensitized citizens to buy shares from the bank so as to enable the bank to get capital to operate as a national cooperative bank.
Tanzania ambao wanataka kuwekeza katika benki hii
Tanzanians who want to invest in this bank through buying of shares, our shares cost 500 and one should own at least 400 shares.
Tunayo fursa kwa vyama vya ushirika hasa na Watanzania wengine ambao wana.
Today we came to get government support, the Speaker's office, but also members of Parliament. Later on, we will meet with investors and various stakeholders who wish to invest in our bank.
Na wadau mbalimbali ambao wangependa kuwekeza kwenye benki yetu.
The meat board in the country has said it is collaborating with the Ministry of Regional Administration and Local Government to make sure meat traders are registered with the board before getting a business license from the District Council, as this will ensure the safety of consumers.
Usajili wa biashara ya nyama.
We must involve trade officers in charge of issuing license, and the board has already started to work on this.
Niseme hili board imeshalifanyia kazi kwa kiasi kikubwa.
Matatizo ambayo tunakumbana nayo kwa kweli ni mengi.
The problems that we are facing are many. One is on the meat slicing machines. Most are useless.
Slice nyama. Zile mashine tunazoletewa kwa kweli nyingi ni local.
Naenda mpaka huko minada ya primary market. Inatisha sana na bodi ya nyama wapo.
The board is there, but it's not working on resolving this problem.
Wafanyabiashara wa Tanzania tuko hatarini kuondoka barabarani.
That's it for the business news. Sports comes next after the break.
This week on Culinary Delights.
One bite, many expressions.
One bite, many expressions.
Coffee caramel buns.
Okay.
It's coffee caramel topping.
Okay.
And the dough. Inside there is unsalted butter.
Okay.
And we bake this one for 15 minutes.
Okay.
And you will find the golden brown.
For today, we'll be making hot saffron latte. As you can see, it has changed the color.
On Sunday at 7:30 p.m. only on Capital Television.
And now in sports. The first Tanzanian to reach the top of Mount Everest, Rawan Kakiki, has returned to the country from Nepal, getting a warm welcome from the government officials and tourism stakeholders.
Nimepita na changamoto nyingi.
Mount Everest temperature is extremely cold. As you can see, I have a mark on my face because it was cold and windy. However, I'm happy that I reached the top and came back safe.
Na iko challenges nyingi, bas nimefurahi nimeweza kufika kilele narudi na salama.
Malawi have confirmed that they will travel for their
The Flames
international
are
friendly against Tanzania without their head coach Meg Mwase. Here's more.
In Dar es Salaam, ahead of the friendly match set for Benjamin Mkapa Stadium, with both teams using it as part of preparations for the upcoming World Cup qualifying matches. However, the Flames have confirmed coach Mwase has tested positive for COVID-19, as the team was planning to depart alongside his assistant Lovemore Fazili and defender Peter Chalopi. Ahead of the friendly, Mwase had named a 22-man squad with B forward Wanderers midfielder Vitumbiko Kumwenda Nyasa Big Bullets defender Eric Kauga and Scotland-based defender Kieran Winkanya making their first trip with the Flames.
Manchester United have had an opening bid for £67 million for Jadon Sancho, turned down by Borussia Dortmund, who are unwilling to lower their asking price for the England winger. Here are more details.
Dortmund won £77.5 million for Sancho. The Bundesliga club, who were determined to resist Chelsea's attempt to buy Erling Haaland, will not stand in the 21-year-old's way if United meet their asking price. United have agreed personal terms with Sancho. It is understood they are prepared to hand the England international a 5-year deal worth about £350,000 a week. However, the club must decide whether to bow to Dortmund's demands. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to improve his side's chances of winning the Premier League by signing a right-sided forward. Yet, Dortmund demonstrated they are not easy to push around when they blocked United's attempts to buy Sancho for a lower fee last summer.
Holiday scored 11.4 seconds from the end as the Milwaukee Bucks revived their NBA play of hopes with a tight 86-83 win over the Brooklyn Nets. Here is more.
Bucks faced going 3-0 down in their best-of-7 Eastern Conference semi-final as they trailed by 3 points with 83 seconds left. But Holiday's late score topped their comeback to pull it back to 2-1. Donovan Mitchell's 37 points helped the Utah Jazz beat the Los Angeles Clippers 117-111 to go 2-0 up in another game. The Jazz produced a late rally in Salt Lake City, winning their 6th consecutive postseason game to take charge of the Western Conference semi-final. They were leading by 21 points going into the final quarter before the Clippers battled back with Reggie Jackson, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard all scoring 20-plus points.
And that sports item ends our news bulletin for tonight. Thank you for watching and good night.